Hello, welcome to the Peno channel. Yeah, we're back, and it's an interesting discussion here. It's that time of the year again. It's the transfer window opens on the 14th of June, and as it's been for the last few windows now, it seems like Villa are in the news early in the transfer window. We've got our business done early in a number of windows over the past few seasons. And yeah, there's a lot of stories going about, and we're going to get into it in this show. I'm joined by my bro, but before we start, if you could like the stream, that'd be much appreciated. We're trying to grow. If you could subscribe if you're new around here, we're trying to get to 585 off, so we'd really appreciate that. And also drop your comments on what we're discussing within this pod, and let us know your thoughts. Bro, how you doing? How's your day been? And yeah, Villa been in the news, haven't they?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. I'm good, man. Looking forward to this pod, this little recap that we're gonna do. As you said, man, it seems early on into the windows. This is the past two windows now where Villa are taking the headlines. Outside of that little story of Mbappe going to Madrid, like that was yesterday's news. But now,
what is he? Mad.
Yeah, apparently, like
mad. Not something.
But yeah, it's mad. Villa always seem to just dominate the early part of the transfer window. So
yeah. Well, I remember with the two seasons ago, it was Boubacar Kamara and Diego Carlos.
Yeah,
which was really early. And then last year it was Yuri Tillemans and Pau Torres, which were towards the start, and even Moussa Diaby wasn't far behind. So yeah, man, this summer looks like Ross Barkley's already. Well, the fee's been agreed between Luton and Villa, so it looks like that one's going to get sorted. But yeah, we're going to get into the juicy rumours, juicy transfer articles. So yeah, in Italy, a lot of reports coming out regarding Douglas Luiz and Juventus, and potentially Weston McKennie, a few members of Chiesa and Sol as well. But yeah, a lot of reports coming on about. Well, it started with Monchi going to Torino and having a meeting over there, and then stories have just developed left, right, and centre, and they're gathering pace. But they're from Damasio, from the Gazzetta as well. Big papers over in Italy, big media companies. Bro, what's your thoughts on all of this? And let's first get into why do you think potentially Villa will have to sell relatively soon within the window?
Yeah, just providing some context on the situation. I think PSR is a big factor for Villa. I think we are close to the line. You've seen reports coming out about how Villa want to increase the amount of spend you can have at these Premier League meetings. With Crystal Palace and Newcastle also siding with them. So yeah, the worry's there. And I personally think Villa are banking on selling Luiz now. I think he's going to be the golden goose to help ease pressure and get us over the line. So I think, yeah, Villa fans might have to just brace themselves for that. Now, this deal...
I was just going to say, bro, we've seen with Jacob Ramsey as well. There's been reports over the months before the season closed. Jacob Ramsey was another player, and I think even Ornstein did an article regarding that as well. So, yeah, I think journos have got an idea of what position Villa are in. But yeah, Douglas Luiz is currently the player that's been spoken about a lot. And yeah, if you want to go into it further.
Yeah, because Villa fans, we've seen the links for the past 3 years. It's been Arsenal, hasn't it? That's really been the side where we thought Douglas would end up if a sale did ever happen. We haven't really seen him linked with Arsenal lately. They've been more linked with Bruno Guimaraes, who is a similar player to Luiz and who would be the 8 that would replace one of the CMs that Arsenal do sell. So maybe it's a case of there's no real interest in Dougie at the moment in the UK. Villa have had to look abroad, and Juventus, of all teams, is the team that's coming up. And these reports in Italy are pretty confident and adamant that Luiz has agreed a fee and a deal with Juventus, and Weston McKennie, Juventus CM, who they're happy to get rid of, might be coming the other way. Journals in England haven't really reported on it, apart from Sky Sports Lyle I saw. He's a colleague of Damasio. They both work for Sky Sports, so he's almost like teamed up to do an article with him. But yeah, it's a mad deal. They're saying the valuations are a bit off. Villa price Luiz at 60 million, Juventus price McKennie at 30 million, and they're trying to just arrange for that to work. I'd assume there's money coming to Villa from Juventus because Luiz is a way better player than Weston McKennie.
But I've seen the one today, which was 40 million euros Villa valuing at Luiz at, which stunned me, to be honest, because considering when we were in the depths of how that one end of summer window, and we weren't doing great in the league, and we were rejecting bids of 25 million, a bit more from Arsenal, and Dougie only had a few months left on his deal. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure on those valuations, and especially with Weston McKennie in the last year of his deal as well, 30 million euro valuation for him. I'm not quite sure about that either. But yeah, I think. Do you think it's no smoke without fire, or potentially just nonsense at the minute?
Yeah, well, I'll first just preface say I don't like the deal. I think it's a bit of a worrying deal. Not the fact that we're selling Luiz. I've kind of accepted that, but I feel like McKennie would not be the player that you'd be looking at. He'd be a bit of a downgrade. And also, I feel just because you're selling a centre midfielder to a team doesn't mean you have to then get a centre midfielder back. Like Juve have a lot of talent. They have Matthias Sul, who you touched on, who's their right winger. They have Yildiz, the striker up front, who's a young talent. And then they have that centre-back as well that was recently on loan at Roma, who's really talented as well, that we could look to add to a swap deal. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a centre midfielder. But at first, I weren't too sure. But recently, the Italian journalists, like, they seem adamant that there's something happening. So I'm just kind of waiting for, like, Fabrizio to give his opinion. Like, you'd think Fabrizio
you'd think Fabrizio would be the one to tweet, you know.
He's obsessed with Luiz.
He's obsessed with Villa in most windows, and he's Italian, so he's worked for Sky Italia, so you'd expect him.
He writes for Sky Sports, or he used to work for Sky Sports.
He did, yeah. So you'd expect him to break anything in that regard to that. And it seems like him and Monchi have a decent relationship because a number of things Fabrizio releases regarding Villa over the years. He released remember the Jack Harrison one? We didn't even sign. Like, Fabrizio's on the ball with Villa stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So yeah, sometimes
he bought the Zaniolo deal, didn't he? And
exactly. So yeah, I'm not mad times. But yeah, I'm not too sure regarding it. What I do agree with is, I think, look, the 30th of June is the deadline. Potentially, we're close to PSR, and we will have to sell someone before that period. So that gives you 3 and a bit weeks. So I do think that may be the case. Whether it's Douglas Luiz, I'm not too sure on yet. Again, I've come to terms that we potentially will have to sell a big player. I just think that may be the case to cover ourselves, and we get a significant fee in, and then maybe increase the size of the squad. Quality-wise, I don't know. That's just a wait and see for me, depending on who we go for. But I think that might be the case. Now, regarding the Douglas Luiz and Weston McKennie deal, if that is the player that potentially Villa are looking for from Juve, firstly, I want to ask you, what fee would you be expecting? I'm going to play devil's advocate as well. Weston McKennie had a fairly decent season with Juventus last year. He got the most assists for them, 7 assists. He played 33 games within Serie A as well. Albeit Juventus weren't really challenging for Serie A. You'd expect them to be, but they weren't. They finished 3rd in the end. But Weston McKennie came out of that as being one of their better players. Now, you've got a question then is, well, if he was that, why aren't Juve looking to extend his contract? Yeah. And also, you've got to consider his time at Leeds wasn't the best at all. Now, you can look at the perspective to say, well, he was at Leeds, poor team, poor side, under Jesse Marsh and all that. It wasn't great at all. But then you can look at Ross Barkley, who this season, well, the season just gone, was in a poor Luton side, who inevitably got relegated, but he shone. He was a standout player. Yeah. So you can't use one discussion for one and the other. That's how I feel anyway. But if he's had a better season at Juventus, would you even consider, like, in your view, do you consider him being a player that could help with the squad?
Just to speak on McKennie, let's just say, for argument's sake, we ignore the Leeds season. Like, I'm happy to just ignore that season and focus on his most recent one. You're right; he had a decent season based on what he was doing at Juventus beforehand. Like, he'd improved in that sense. You touched on the assist. His carrying numbers were good. His tackling numbers were good. He played out wide in the system, which I don't think a lot of people are aware of. He didn't play like in the centre for Juventus that much, like he was used wide. So even that's kind of a bit interesting, like how we fit in Emery's system or how Emery even sees him in that sense. In terms of the other things though, like I was looking at, I wish we could get them on screen, but I was looking at like a comparison stats wise to Barkley, Tielemans, and Luiz. Most of them do trump him in like the key stats you'd want in terms of like creative wise. I know McKennie did get assists, but in terms of like the expected assists or the passing numbers and etc., a lot of them three players were better. So yeah, I'd see. I don't know, bro. I'd see as honestly, I'd see it as a downgrade, and I just think with the plethora of midfield talent that's about, especially in like League One, where there's like loads of talent. Like we got linked to Yusuf Fofana before. Kepin Forum available for 15 million, like these type of players. If we're looking for a bargain deal, I just feel McKennie's just a bit meh.
Okay. All right then. So I'm going to give you a scenario where Villa have to sell before the 30th of June. Douglas Luiz is the player they've identified as selling. Villa get a fee. Juventus don't have the money to provide a fee. No one else has come in for Douglas Luiz at that moment in time. Juventus have offered, say, okay, we'll go, say it's 35 million plus Weston McKennie. So they pay us 65 and then we have to pay them back 30 million, which how I think the deal would be done. And then the 35 million is used elsewhere for an Alex Bueno or a player of that mould. What would your thoughts be then if we look at it over the period of the window instead of just looking at it in isolation?
Take the points deduction.
Yeah.
Nah, but all serious, my thoughts would be pitch it to Juventus. If you want Douglas Luiz so bad, what other players do you have that you'd be open to sell? I don't think we have to go down this route where just because we're selling a centre mid, it has to be a player. Like they have young, like Juventus, it's a big club. They have a lot of talent in their squad, and we spoke about it earlier. I'll be looking for that centre back that they've got that we need to strengthen in as well. I'll be looking at it that way. I don't think we have to just be confined for it just to be a centre midfielder, you know? I just think with McKennie, bro, I just think if we're going into the Champions League and the amount of midfield talent that's about, I'd think it would be a bit underwhelming. That's just my personal opinion. I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, it's tough because we say it's underwhelming, but then so one thing I'm thinking is, okay, if he's played off the right, is they're looking at me as a McGinn like rotation option? So obviously McGinn played all minutes when he was available, pretty much. So maybe we're playing in the tougher competition now. So we're looking to maybe get a squad with more experience as well as better players in certain positions. Now, Weston McKennie might not be in our best midfield, but I think he's better than some of our bench options, and it gives the opportunity to rotate McGinn in certain aspects, which we didn't really have the option to do that last season, especially off that right side, unless we went more attacking and we played Bailey off there and Diaby next to Watkins. But Weston McKennie isn't that type of player. So that's one reason why potentially I think they could be looking at him. Another is that, again, if, as I stated, if there's no offers for players, if we're in the scenario where we need to sell and that's the deal that's on the table, what do you do then?
Just what I said before, bro. Just negotiate a player. This is my personal preference. I'd be looking at a different player from Juventus. I'm open to selling Douglas Luiz. I accept that he's the golden goose and that we might be a bit stuck if there's not.
Which is hard. That's hard anyway because Douglas Luiz has been unbelievable this season. Juventus, I know he had a poor few months, but
we don't even. There's a lot of information we don't know. We don't know Juventus's finances. We don't even know how true this deal is yet. Do you know what I mean? Like,
exactly. We're just speculating.
Reports, but I think Villa are banking on selling him to whoever it is. I think he's the one that's gonna. And on principle, I'm not 100% against it. Like, this is his peak value. He's been at Villa for 5 years. We brought him for 15 million, and this could be a big chance to make triple. Even more than triple, like quadruple.
It's not looking like triple. All I'm going to say is from reports, it's not looking like triple or quadruple the profit.
Yeah. So
It's not when that valuation today, I read the 40 million euros. I was just like, that. No, come on. Let's not be silly.
You just got to think where he's coming from Italy, who are going to be probably.
Let's not be silly. So yeah, I think the actual story has.
I want to hear what English journals are saying from Villa side. You know what I mean? Like I want to hear the other side of the story. Like
but then them keeping quiet might say all.
That is BS, or that is, or like they're not sure.
Yeah,
I don't know. I was listening to Tanz earlier, who's from the Athletic. He was saying he hasn't heard anything under the Juventus nor the Weston McKennie rumor. He said that doesn't mean it's not true, but he hasn't heard anything yet.
Bro, maybe it could be smoke screens as well. Obviously, Juventus are interested in Cooper Miners as well. So if they look like they're after, go on.
They're interested in Forum as well.
Yeah, so that could be smoke screen to say we're going after this player. Club, you might miss the opportunity to sell one of your players, and also it could be a smokescreen for us saying we're after Weston McKennie, a centre midfielder, but we've been linked to Conor Gallagher as well as Matteo Guendouzi, etc. So that's also playing that, and we've been involved in smokescreens. Marco Asensio being a big one that stood out last season, where it was all Villa and ended up signing for PSG. So that again could be the case. But it is interesting. It is interesting. And I do think there might be some I don't know what the word I'm looking for.
It's a complicated deal. Then it's not a deal that gets done overnight. Like it feels like a mad. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. The word I was looking for substance. I think there might be some substance to the reports.
If teams know Douglas is for sale, it might tempt other clubs as well. Maybe that's what Villa are trying to do. Like, buy a bidding more or something. Yeah, it's just got in as well though, because Douglas is such a big player for us as well. But we have with the briefs over the past since January, the briefs we've had in terms of it's going to be one of Ramsey or Luiz. Like, there's going to be a big sale, and this is the year. Like, we've almost mentally prepared for it, but it does still hurt just a little bit. Like, if we don't,
I don't know if some fans have. To be fair,
which
is a shame. But
it's hard. It's hard.
It is. Obviously, Douglas Luiz, first half of the season, he was my player of the season. First half, dropped off a bit in the last few months. I think that was undeniable. But set piece taker, penalty taker, controls our midfield, especially when Kamara's there. He was our conductor as well. We played to Dougie's tempo, so it's a massive.
And I do feel there was a lot of overreaction with the hatred in terms of recency bias. Me and you can admit he was nowhere near the levels. But if you judge the season overall, I do think a lot of people are kind of a prisoner at the moment in terms of the way people are saying, get rid or sell, or just he's not that good. Like, we can still remember how good he was from September, August to December, sorry.
Yeah, facts. Just going to comment in here from Cairo. Thanks for joining, Cairo. He said, I think Emery trusts Tielemans to do Luiz's role. It doesn't look like we are getting a like-for-like replacement. Well, we saw aspects of when Luiz was missing last season when McGinn and Tielemans played, and we won both games, and they actually played really well. But obviously, Dougie's still a top player. Like, let's not deny that. Let's not downplay his ability for sure. And if we are to sell, the main thing I want to say is the fee has to represent that. That's the big thing for me. If that is going to be the case,
especially if PSR is concerned, like, surely you have to be getting, like, that's the whole point, isn't it? Like, there's got to be a good deal for us, man.
But then the other side of that is, if you have to get to a deadline and you have to sell, then you have to sell in it. So you might be restricted in that sense.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be interesting.
Should we talk about?
Let us know your thoughts in the comments regarding this talk and potential dealings with Villa. And it's a mad story so far, and we'll see how it develops over the next few days and potentially weeks as well. And also, if you could like this, if you're new here, please subscribe. Again, we're 85 off 500, so we're trying to build that up and build the community as well. And bro, we'll just touch on another one if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, David Ornstein, pretty reliable journalist on the Athletic, saying on a podcast that Emery's a massive fan. In fact, he said he loves him and he's got a great affection for him, and he likes his style of play and stuff. So we've seen links to Gallagher now for over 3 or 4 weeks. So he hasn't signed a new deal with Chelsea. I don't know if contract talks are still happening. I know Spurs are linked, Villa are linked. What do you think of Barkley and now Gallagher being heavily linked?
I said I like the Barkley deal, and Gallagher I like as a player. I think he's a very good player. He gets painted. He gets painted with that brush, man. And he was Chelsea's best midfielder this season. Caicedo got better, but he was overall Chelsea's best midfielder this season. And he surprised me in a lot of his facets. I mean, when he was playing at West Brom on loan, Palace on loan, he was more further forward. He was the one. He was playing like a Lampard-esque role, like arriving into the box. He was taking shots and stuff like that. But he's kind of shown aspects where he can drop deeper, as well as just doing all the pressing, which we know his game is. He can get about the pitch. He's full throttle. He showed aspects of the game that he can, keep the ball, receive the ball from the defenders, play a bit deeper in his role as well at Chelsea. And yeah, I'm for the signing definitely if that is the case of getting Conor Gallagher. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I was just saying the timing of this. Ornstein's just tweeted saying Aston Villa hold preliminary talks with Chelsea over a move for Conor Gallagher.
Yeah, there we go.
Villa also
breaking then.
Villa also in contact with the 24-year-olds camp. Unai Emery, huge admirer and emerging as a top target. Chelsea retain interest in John Duran.
Well, so we're talking about swap deals between Juve and Villa, and now let's bring up another one then. Potential swap deals involving John Duran and Conor Gallagher. Thoughts on that then, bro? As it's just been released.
I think these swap deals are going to just be more prominent. I haven't read the article yet, but that's just the tweet that is led with. But yeah, holding talks. I think a potential Duran and Gallagher. I don't want to sell Duran, but if there is an acceptance that he wants to leave, that could be massive for FFP for both of us in terms of book value and that kind of thing. There could be some mad dealing with how that works.
Yeah. That's it. I think there's a few options, and John Duran could be one of those, depending on how much we do need to generate. But yeah, that interesting. Conor Gallagher one though. Can you see moves? Players involved in the Euros. Can you see moves happening before the tournament starts?
Well, yeah, I think because if the tournament goes into over June 30th, then 100%. 100%. I think players want to know the club that they're going to be at and have it all settled before a big tournament like that. And the buying club as well doesn't want to risk their value increasing during the tournament. Yeah. Obviously, you have to weigh that up against the potential of them getting injured. I'm sure there'd be like some kind of thing that's put into a deal, but yeah.
Very interesting. Kevin's joining. Said, remember we was underwhelmed with the Rodgers signing, so if it's McKennie, so be it in Emery trust, as they say. I had a bit more faith in Rodgers, to be honest.
Yeah, me and you, we
were picking it up.
I know some Villa fans are against it, but me and you, like, we were feeling that Rodgers deal, like we saw the potential.
Yeah, so I don't know. What? Yeah,
I think what I want to say is, I think even though you can be happy with how we're doing at Villa, like me and you, like we're both like over the moon, like we got Champions League. You still can and are allowed to criticize something that maybe Munchie does. Like I don't think both things have to be mutually exclusive. Do you know what I mean? Like I think they're mutually exclusive. Like you can do both. You can criticize if you think a decision isn't in line with what you think would be best for Villa.
That was going in on the pitch and off it as well. So I agree. Anyway, bro, we're going to close this one off. It was just a quick update for everyone. Thanks for joining. Who's been watching? Again, if you could like the stream, subscribe if you're new around here, and leave a comment as well of your thoughts. Kevin's got a quick one. A lot of fans were questioning it though, guys, as in Rodgers from Borough
a lot of fans,
and all that. Yeah, agree, totally agree. There was definitely people questioning it. Just going to close this out now. Thanks for joining again, and up the Villa, and there definitely looks like there's going to be more interesting news coming up, and we'll be providing you with that info. So thanks for joining once again.